Alright, today I'm going to go over how to build our rocket for our camping trip coming up. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get an index card or any kind of piece of paper. It really doesn't matter. And I want to measure up. I want to take two measurements. One of them is 1.5 inches, which is going to be right here. And the other measurement is going to be 3/8 of an inch, which is kind of hard to see on this ruler, so I'm going to slide it down a little bit. So 3/8 of an inch, and I'm doing them both off of the same edge. So 3/8 of an inch. So there's 1, 2, 3/8 of an inch is right there. And those are the only two measurements I'm going to need. So I'm going to put my ruler away. I'm going to build this in a little opposite order than the directions say. So let's just bear with me. So the bottom of the rocket, and you're going to need a Sharpie for this part. The bottom of the rocket, so you have to basically, you want to keep everything on the same plane. So you want to put an imaginary line right down the middle here and make sure everything's lined up, because that's kind of the way it should be. So what we're going to do is we're going to, on this end, I'm going to put one dot there and then the other dot there. So I got one at the 3/8 and one at the 1.5 inches, and then I'm going to spin it around and I'm just going to do the 1.5 inches at this one. So if you look at it, I got the 3/4 of an inch, I'm sorry, 3/8 of an inch, the 1/2 of an inch on this end, and then on this end it comes down and it's just a 1/2 of an inch. So then I put my Sharpie away, and that's all we need that for. So then I'm going to use my X-Acto knife and I'm going to make a small slit right at the 1.5 inch mark on both ends. So just a small little slit, and it should just, there we go. Small little slit. Now you can use any kind of knife as long as it's sort of sharp. Just a small little slit. Okay, so then what we're going to do then is we're going to open up our little baggie with our parts in it. And in our little baggie we should have a bunch of little parts, of course. So we're going to have our rubber band, our orange streamer, our little guide there, a little end of our nose cone, and of course that's trash. So the best way to do this is this little bracket right here is what holds our motor in. So what we're going to do is we're going to slide the one end of it, this end right here, into our little slot. And you can see that it just slid perfectly in there. And then we're going to use crazy glue for the, I'm going to use crazy glue, but you can also use a glue gun like we did when we actually build it. So what you're going to do is you're going to get your glue and you're just going to put a little dab, and it might just all flood out of here because this is kind of a, you know what, I'm going to do it on the index card to get it started. This is some really liquidy, there it goes. So I'm going to put a little drip right there, and you can see it kind of took over. And then I'm going to slide my tail fin down on it, and if you look right there you can see there's a little notch. So I'm going to slide that down, and it's going to go right over, and I'm going to stop it right at that other line I put there. And since I put the glue right there, it just kind of rubbed into it, and it should hold it right there. And that's that. Easy peasy. So on the other end, what we found is the best way to do is to get your rubber band and slide it through the groove using a pencil or something not sharp. And what we did was you can just kind of push it through. There we go. And then if you can look inside of here, what we usually do is we just keep, you're supposed to do it the opposite way, feed it through, and then try to, it never seems to work that way. So basically just kind of push it in, push it in, push it in. And we're kind of building it the opposite way. And you can see right there, it's coming out the top. If it doesn't come out the top, just go down the bottom and blow a little bit and it'll push it out. And then you want to stream it through, stream it through, stream it through. And you just want a little bit hanging out, like about that much. Now you can see, in theory, this is in line with that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to glue this, and you can see this little hole right here. It's so important that you get this little circle right here lined up with this little circle right here. So basically the best way to do that is to, go through here, pull it down, and then I like to get it all lined up. And again, we did this with the glue gun before, so I want to make sure that this hole right here, this little loop, and this little loop are perfectly aligned. It's not rocket science. We don't have to get it exactly, but I want to get it really close to being lined up, and that looks pretty doggone good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a little drip, a little tiny drip right here. And when I slide this down, hopefully it works like it's supposed to, and it binds underneath of it and smushes it together, and there we go. So again, before we did this with the glue gun, and this gives you a couple seconds to give it a little tweak. Whoops. Looks like my fins here need a little more glue. Now when we did this with the glue gun, I just ran the glue around the top here, or put it on there and slid it in there. Maybe this crazy glue isn't the best thing to use, but it is going to work for us. So I'm going to add a little bit more here to keep that bottom fin on, and a little bit more at the top. And again, the glue gun always worked really good for this for us. So that's essentially the rocket right there. I'm going to set this aside. And then what we do again is with the glue gun, I'd fill this full of glue, and then the kids would push this little cap into it. So I'm going to put, you know what, I'm going to glue the cap. I think that might be the best way to do this. I want to get it all over my countertop. And then as I glue my fingers together, give that a little twist, give that a little push. And there we go. I'll let that dry for a little bit. And then, we don't have the super expensive rockets here. So basically the way the rocket works is the nose cone comes out and it has this little flag right here, as you can see. And that's supposed to keep it from crashing into the ground instead of a parachute. So what we do here, and again we do this with the glue gun, is we get our little flag and we fold it a whole mess of times. And you're supposed to kind of fold it like an accordion. But quite honestly, after shooting 1,000,000 of these rockets, it really doesn't seem to matter. But in the long run, what you want to do, and again we did this with the glue gun before, is you just need to fold it over someplace. And then we get the glue gun and we just shoot some hot glue across here. But again, like I said, just today I'm just using a... There we go. And then you want to kind of just fold that over. And it's important that this glues really well. So I'm probably going to glue myself to it. But and this is the little streamer that comes out and basically slows it from falling down. And it doesn't work all that great, but it works good enough for us. And then my fingers are glued to it. And I'm part of it. Okay, so I had a little computer falling asleep there, so I had to wake it back up. So as you can see here, I glued this. It's all glued down. It's dry. And again, you know, I'm feeling more and more, you can see it's not that dry. I'm feeling more and more as the hot glue gun was the way to go. That's what we used for the past 4 years. And, you know, it dries instantaneously. So as that's coming together. So again, if you're going to use the hot glue gun, put a little ball of it right there. Slide that down on it, and then do the same thing on the tail section back here. Put a little ball of it and slide that onto it. And as you can see, I'm really having some difficulties keeping this streamer glued on here. But if I used hot glue, it would have took 2 seconds and actually glued it right away. So the last and not least thing we want to do is we want to get our nose cone, and we want to loop it through here, and then just tie a little knot onto the end of it. It doesn't have to be a crazy knot, just over and under, just to keep it on there. And that's it. So as you can see, I'm still having some difficulties with this ribbon, but the longer I let it set, the more it'll dry. And that's kind of it. Then what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this with a little orange band up around here. Get some wadding, which looks like tissue paper, stick it in there, push this in there. But I mean, we'll do that when we launch the rocket. So that's not something you have to actually worry about. So that's about it. So if you have any questions, send me an email. You guys should all have my email. I'll talk to you later. Good luck.